Tim, how exciting is it to basically presenting the world premiere of Dark Web this weekend?
Uh, Let me tell you something. I am just so glad that Dark Web has finally found a home on a very credible streaming service that is Amazon. And this is just a project Mike, me, and Mario have just been working on for quite some time. And we're just all very grateful to now have this show on Amazon Prime so the whole world can see what we've been working on for the past few years. And I just hope everybody, is looking for something to binge watch this weekend because Dark Web will not disappoint.
Now, how was the process that you guys managed to pull it off? A lot of people would love to have their show like on Amazon Prime. So what was that process like?
Well, because the show was independently developed, the first and foremost what we had to focus on was making sure the quality was met with the show. The three of us and everyone involved in this project, be it cast and crew, knew from the get-go what we want the show to be and what kind of stories we want to tell and what the overall look of the show to be. That before we approached like any streaming service, the show had to meet a level of quality for us that once we got it there, we started pitching it to streaming services, and Amazon really took a liking to it, and we were just all very grateful that Amazon, made a home for Dark Web.
Now, tell us the initial thought of where Dark Web actually comes from.
Well, to be honest with you, when the three of us began to work on this project, for me at least, I never knew about the Dark Web or let alone its existence, that I thought it was something fictitious, that the more we got into this project, the more research, myself, Mike, and Mario did just to learn more about it. And dude, I was just like bothered by it that I just made it priority to avoid it at all costs. So just knowing about it is enough. And I think, much like The Twilight Zone is a show that, encompasses so many different anthology episodes that has a theme of which every main character in each episode finds himself in the Twilight Zone. So going off, something similar is that Dark Web is kind of like, in a sense, our Twilight Zone where everyday people find themselves entering the dark web and finding themselves in some, horrible, unsettling situation that lurks and becomes of the dark web.
Of course, you have these short anthology, basically short stories that are inputted into a few of the episodes and one overall story concept. But before I go to the overall story concept, for the individual stories themselves, how many stories did you have to come up with before, and how much do you have to pare down?
Well, any storyteller and aspiring storyteller will tell you there are so many ideas that you want to explore. There are so many stories you want to see like a part of the overall anthology. But the fact of the matter is, in the writing stage, which Mike and Mario did an incredible job, scripting the story, the extent became 8 episodes. So once they had written the episode, the three of us had to decide, okay, we have 8 episodes. How many B stories will accumulate within the 8? And essentially what we had to do was be strategic. Okay, what B story is going to go here and how does it relate to the main characters? And essentially once the script was done, we decided to make it, 6 B stories. Mm-hmm. So one of them was a contest that we held on LRM in which our fan base had the opportunity to submit one of their horror stories to the site and possibly get it made in Dark Web. So Christopher Webster, I hope I'm getting that name right, won that contest. And then obviously Mike, Mario, and myself wanted to do like a B story. Roxy got to do a B story, and then we reached out to other talented individuals that we knew to submit their ideas for a story, and you know, they definitely had a great script for each and every one of them, that it was a no-brainer for them to be a part of the dark web.
Obviously, you are a producer on the show, but you didn't write any of the specific B stories. Which one is your favorite?
Well, I didn't write any of the scripts to the B story, but I did write the story treatment for Transplant. So I would have to say one of my favorite B story episodes would be Viral, simply because Viral tells the story about an optimistic girl who wants to be a screenwriter and tell stories. And I think any aspiring like writer, be it for film, television, comic books, novel, video games, can all relate to that character, just because she has this desire to tell like stories of all different genres. And I think anyone that has ever picked up a pen and piece of paper or a keyboard that has like these ideas of stories that they want to write will definitely relate to that character.
And what about the overall story arc, the tie that binds everything together? I mean, how was that actually developed and basically filmed out?
As far as connecting the B stories to the A
Yes.
story, well, you know what? I gotta say, it is very incredible how all these B stories were able to connect to the A story, because a lot of the writers had, come up with these various ideas like years ago, and the fact that when they had finished writing it, all of them, connected very well to the A story. I mean, truth be told, there had to be some, edits made, so it's very technology driven, but to our very surprise, it all fit very naturally. And basically, as I said before, once the A story script was written, we had to be strategic of which B story is going to be placed where, and how does this further push the narrative. So we went with Rideshare, Hacked, Zero, Transplant, Eat, Pray, Love, and Viral. And each of those stories, progresses the story of what happened to Molly, and each of them had like a clue that would eventually lead the cast to Molly.
Wow, that is actually absolutely interesting. And one of the things that we have to note, that you have worked in a film before that. It's a very popular film on Netflix. I believe it's called The Circle.
Circle.
Just Circle. And could you talk about what you learned from that project onto this project?
Well, Circle was definitely a self-contained film where the whole duration takes place in one room with 50 strangers. That the difference between Circle and Dark Web is Circle is one room, and Dark Web is multiple locations. So it was definitely, something we weren't anticipating as far as how challenging it was going to be to, hire like these different sets of characters, A story cast and B story cast, and finding all these multiple locations. So it was very much a challenge, having to coordinate and manage like these different sets of characters. But everyone that we brought on to this project, be it cast and crew, didn't just put 100% in it, but put 150% into it. And Mike, me, and Mario are very fortunate. We were able to have like a talented bunch of, talented individuals working on this project. And the fact of the matter is, Dark Web wouldn't have been where it is today if not for everyone, chipping in and to, working diligently hard to get the show where it is today.
But there is a strong connection from Circle to Dark Web, because I understand you actually brought some people from Circle to Dark Web.
Yep, and it's funny you should ask, because we were having this conversation just last night. Renee, who plays Zach Sullivan on Dark Web, he was in Circle, and he played the Atheist, and one thing that I think is just so incredible is seeing like Circle alums come back on this show and mingling with like dark web characters. So we've developed a good relationship with a lot of the cast members from Circle that it's great to see them, coming back for this new installment and, mingling with like new characters and new actors. In fact, in Transplant, the actor that plays Henry McCollum, Dwayne Shepard Sr., there were at least 3 cast members of Circle in that particular B story. That to see both actor and character, mingling with Circle alums was truly unique, and it's just great being able to bring like your friends from past projects back to come do new projects as well.
Excellent. And as we're about to wrap up, but one of the things about the Circle and Dark Web that is always when they're going to watch a movie or a show like this, people will want more. Mm-hmm. Do you have thoughts on a second season of Dark Web, and do you have thoughts on a sequel to Circle?
Well, there are conversations between Mike, me, and Mario as far as what we would like to do with a second Circle and a season 2 and 3 of Dark Web. I can't say anything official as far as where the state of season 2 and season 3 of Dark Web is, but believe me, there are conversations, and we definitely would love to see, the story of these characters develop even further. And I would love to see other forms, possibly transmedia outlets to kind of explore like what certain characters were doing before meeting up with the group, because there's a lot of mythology and unanswered questions in season 1, particularly like could Zach have known more about Mira than Molly may have known? And I think season 2 and season 3 would definitely be able to touch on that. And believe me, we're all committed for future installments for both Circle and Dark Web.
Excellent. And I'm going to wrap it up with one more thing, because I want to let everyone know that this is not your first Comic-Con. In fact, you actually also screened, I believe, the Circle at a previous Comic-Con, and you've done it again here. How were the two experiences? They must have been very either similar or very different.
Well, similar in the sense of, we were able to, not only debut both Circle and Dark Web here at Comic-Con, and being able to celebrate the screening and debut in a place like Comic-Con and really celebrate with the cast and crew that helped get both projects where they are, which is probably the best feeling in the world as far as being able to showcase a project at Comic-Con, but also, more importantly, being able to celebrate with people you've developed good relationships with. And to answer your your other question, is the difference between Circle and Dark Web. If there was a difference between debuting it then and now, I would have to say LRM backing us up on Dark Web and promoting it and putting the word out and making sure it stayed relevant and covering the project. That is the big difference. And everyone associated with Dark Web can't thank LRM enough for just making sure, every relevant information of Dark Web was, covered and made sure the fans knew. We can't thank, everyone on LRM enough for making this very special for everyone. So thank you all very much.
Excellent. And we could actually check out Dark Web right now on Amazon Prime internationally.
Yes, indeed.
Excellent. Hey, thank you very much for watching. This is the interview with Tim Nardelli. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.